Hello, I'm Joanna Clark with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching, and I'm here with Krysti, and we are going to have a really good conversation because Krysti has a journey to tell us about, which is her journey with asking for help when it comes to sleep. So let's go way back in time. So right now her child is 3.5 years old, but let's go way back in time. How old was your son when you first reached out to me?
He was 4 months.
Okay. And
Yes.
what was going on? There you are, he's 4 months old. What was going on with him and why did you call?
As a new mom, so when he was about 4 months, I struggled to kind of find ways to get him to stay asleep. I would try everything in the book, but anytime I'd put that little guy down, he would just eyes would pop open and just start crying. So I became one of those moms that would Google anything I could possibly find. Reading, not so much because, I mean, face it, new time mom, 4 months, didn't have time for that. So Google became my friend instantly. And the amount of information that out there was just so overwhelming. So at the time, my mom was still working. So having help was kind of out of the question. So it was really just me and my husband. And she one day called me and said she found someone that I can actually make an appointment with and have a conversation with to kind of see if there was something that we could do to help out. So without hesitation, especially since you could do the verbal, I was on it as fast as I possibly can. So yeah.
Exactly. So what Krysti did, you guys, is she did a sleep strategy session, which is an hour-long session with me, where we do it on Zoom.
Mhm.
Always want the husband
Mhm.
involved. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a first-time mom and first-time dad, it's so important to get on the same page and to be able to talk to an expert professional about your unique situation and have dad understand what's going on as well as mom so that they can make better, more educated decisions about how to handle it. Because as a newborn mom, this is not something for you to handle alone. Absolutely not. Which is why I love the fact that grandma was like, I don't know, which is great. Dr. Google doesn't know because
No.
you've already been doing that. And then it's like, all right, let's go talk live
Yes.
with
Yes.
a professional who has experience. So
Yeah.
why was the talking live so important to you? What was that?
I am the type of person where I needed someone to tell me verbally what can I do. When you're reading articles, it's just they all start to blend together. You don't really get like a straight answer. It's almost like they're saying like you can try this, you can try that, maybe do it this way. And at that point, you're so exhausted. You're like, can someone please just tell me step by step what I can do? So when my husband and I had that sit down with you, the best thing ever, because you gave me like step by step by step by step of what I can do. And then actually being able to verbally talk to someone, like you get to the questions and then the answers. It's just that back and forth and that reassurance, especially being a first time mom, was just such a weight lifted off of me and my husband as well, because you're just like, oh my god, there's a light at the end of the tunnel because someone is like guiding me instead
Yes.
of trying to figure it out on your own. Was the most amazing part out of that whole journey.
Right. And so she comes out of this one conversation with me, sleep strategy session conversation with me.
Mm-hmm.
She comes out feeling confident,
Mm-hmm.
reassured, on the same page with her husband,
Mm-hmm.
very important, and
Very.
specific steps individualized for her unique situation
Mm-hmm.
to be able to move forward to get the result that she wanted, which was, how do I keep little guy asleep after I put him down? Because his eyes would always pop open. So
Mm-hmm.
she did it. She was successful and she got some resources to work on, which you felt like you could take the resources and move on. So let me be clear, you guys. She did a sleep strategy session. She walked away getting the confidence and the direction that she needed, getting on the same page with her husband, and getting the resources she needed to go on and solve the remainder of the struggles.
Mhm.
Okay. She didn't need one-on-one coaching. Not everybody needs one-on-one sleep training coaching. Some people just need somebody to
Mhm.
listen to them,
Mhm.
talk to them, reflect with them, get on the same page with the husband. And
Mhm.
that's all Krysti needed in that moment.
Mhm.
And it was like life-changing, right? 1 hour,
100%. Yes.
100%. So
100%.
Krysti goes on, she does all the things to help herself, and she has 3 years of blissful sleep.
Mhm.
Then what happened?
3 years, yes, and then, as I'm sure for the, remainder of my life with this kiddo, a new stage pops up, right? 3, he is more vocal, more movable, so we're at a new stage with him, in a good way. He is learning how to potty train, we are now switching from bed to crib,
Or crib to bed.
or crib to bed, so whole new ball game, right? um Again, you kind of go into it thinking like, well, I've developed this far with him, I should be able to figure this out, right? Kind of tweak a couple of things, especially since he's in this new stage. Kind of get to the point where you're just like, well, this is not working, right? So again, time goes on, I'm thinking I can solve this on my own. Finally get to a point where I'm just, this is not working. I know the resources, I know where to go, I know how to get some guidance. So that's where I'm going to go. So that's when Joanne comes into the picture for this next stage that I'm about to enter into.
Exactly. So she called me again
Hmm.
3 years later when her son was going from the crib and
Hmm.
making the transition to the big boy bed, which,
Hmm.
by the way, is a huge transition. And even a child that had impeccable sleep skills and gorgeous schedule and everything was working like clockwork, which is
Hmm.
what Christy's experience was for 3 years. It was like golden. And
Hold
then this one developmental change happens where he's ready for the big boy bed. And even though she tried to create the right environment for that to be a positive transition,
it. Hmm.
it crumbled.
Crumbled.
And it's okay because it happens all the time.
Hmm.
But instead of being in relentless uh anxiety and you know confusion about that, what did Krysti do?
I called immediately.
Yeah,
I, you, it's funny how you can go into a phase where you're just like, again, I know what to do, but in your mind you're just like, I can figure this out, right? I should be able to figure this out by now. I've gone so long of being able to get him to do bedtime on his own that I should be able to figure this out. But then as time starts to slowly slip and you're just like, I can't figure this out. I can't figure it out for me, for him, the frustration. I don't want to delay it. So that's when you kind of get to the mind frame. You're just like, nope, I know where help is. I'm going to go for the help.
exactly. And what I love about Krysti is Krysti gives herself a deadline. What's your deadline on
I
this, on
do.
the struggle? How long are you willing to stay in the struggle until you're like, call Joanna?
Especially since I know the help is there. I give myself time to see if I can figure this out on my own. Because again, as the mom, I go into it thinking like I should be able to figure this out. I give myself 4 weeks. 4 weeks is all. If I cannot figure this out, what in my mind, especially since I know the help is there, it's like, why? Why would I prolong this? If I can't figure this out, 4 weeks deadline, nope, then I'm on my call. I'm calling Joanna.
Exactly. And so we did that with the
Mhm.
transition to the big boy bed.
Yes.
And then several months later,
Hmm.
we had another little hiccup
Yes.
with
Hmm.
a lot of what we call bedtime stalling and requesting,
Hmm.
where the bedtime routine that had been like rock solid in the big boy bed got a little slippery and some new behaviors popped up, which is totally developmentally normal at this age. 3.5 is like right on cue for stalling and requesting.
Hmm.
And this time, I don't think you did the 4 week deadline. I think you called me sooner.
I did not. No,
Oh, you did. You gave yourself another 4 weeks. Okay.
I no, I didn't. No, I think it was like 2.5.
I think it was 2.5. I think we shortened your deadline. Yeah.
I kind of shortened it, especially since again, it popped out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
that's where it throws you off. You're
Yeah.
just, you're doing so well. And then all of a sudden, like, pop, it's just like, where is this coming from? Like, why are you doing these new activities at night that you haven't been doing before? And again, in me, especially since I'm one where I'm just like, if I just need someone to tell me what to do, how can I fix this? And it's, for me, it's not even worth trying to figure that out on my own, because I know the resources is there. So it's like, why would I try to start to Google, find other ways, when I can just go straight to the source and stop it before it even gets worse? Because that's always been my fear, is that, oh, if I can figure this out on my own, fantastic. But what if I'm doing something wrong?
Right. That's making it worse.
And that's making it worse. And then I'm going to have to break that cycle because I've done it so long, when I can go straight to the source and be like, please help me. How can I readjust what's happening here to better suit him? So that deadline was way gone. 2.5 weeks. I'm like, nope, I can't figure this out on my own. I'm going to go straight to the source so I can get back on track. That was always been my thing. How can I get this back on track?
Yeah. I love what you said, which is so important, is like, there's two sides. So when you're having sleep struggles with a child, there's always two sides to the equation. One side is well, there's three. One is, what's really going on? Like, what is causing this new challenge?
Right.
Like the root cause. We always got to get to the root cause. The second is, what are the steps that we need to do in order to resolve it? And the third element that you just brought up is, but also, what do I need to not be doing to exasperate it? So that is where, having these conversations that you have had, essentially we have these, sleep strategy sessions where I come in and I look at those three elements, and then we come up with the game plan to resolve. And like you said, like, the resource is getting the sleep support from a trained and certified sleep expert. And even better, if you have the ongoing relationship with that sleep expert. So again, remember, you guys, like, she came to me when her child was 4 months. She stayed on my email list. So she's like in the flow. She's reading my material. She's staying up to date on all the sleep science and all the materials. I try to be like the accurate and reliable resource for families. So then when she comes back to me and it's like, hey, Krysti, oh my God, so good to see you. What's going on? And then we're all speaking the same language at each of these phases. And, I work with children all the way up to 10 years old. So having done this for 13 years, I have a long history with families, not only with the one child going through all the stages, but, child number 1, child number 2, child number 3, sometimes even child number 4, I end up sleep training or working with and being a kind of a sleep resource, even if we don't do one-on-one training, but the mom has the opportunity to know that she can come to me in a non-judgmental way. That's a key element here, that Krysti never felt like, if she came back to me and said, uh-oh, a new thing has popped up, that there would be any judgment from me. It's more like, oh, well, let's see why that popped up. Let's go into the 3 zones. Let's get to the root cause. Let's look at the step-by-step, and let's make sure we're not doing the things to exasperate it. It's never, it's non-judgmental. It's like, to me, it's like the puzzle. It's like, oh, we have a new puzzle to solve. Let's get to work and solve the puzzle.
Oh yeah. I think if there's any judgment, it's coming probably from us internally. Again, it's one of those, you've gone so long that you're just like, I should be able to figure this out. In reality, not understanding that he is going through stuff, and you don't know that. You think it's just like, why are you doing this? Like, are you just doing it to be you? I mean, not understanding that it's all development. I mean, he is hitting new phases that, again, it makes you realize, you're just like, okay, he's growing. I mean, like,
and we got to keep up with it. Yeah.
Exactly.
So Krysti, like, that's kind of like, let's just talk about that for a second. So because I think this is what happens to a lot of families, and moms especially, is if they've been successful, right? So you've asked for help, you've been successful, a roadblock happens. What do you feel goes on in either your mind or the mind of other moms that you've talked to, when you resist asking for help? Like, what do you think is going on inside where a mom just isn't calling a sleep consultant to get reflection? Again, not sleep consultant to sleep train, but a
Yeah.
sleep consultant to review your situation and give you those three components. What are the root causes? What are some steps? And what not to do to get to the resolution? What is causing that stopgap where people aren't asking for help?
I feel like you think it's like a step back. You kind of think to yourself, like, I have done so well getting him to a good point that now that we're in this new step, and you feel like you're back at square one, and having to reach out, you're just like, oh my God, like, it's a step back. I can't figure this out on my own. I'm going to have to start the process all over again. It's draining to think about that. It's as a mom, for me personally, it was just like, I can't figure this out. I should be able to figure this out. And now that I know that I can't, I'm going to have to take another step back and again start the process over. It's just, I'm going to have to start this process over to figure out now, again, for me, what are my next steps? Give me those steps to get him back to where he needs to be. So
Right. So it's almost like there's like three phases of like not asking for help. The first phase is I can figure it out by myself.
Mhm.
That, which is a place of empowerment. Oh, I can figure this out.
Yeah.
Second phase is, uh-oh, it's not working, but I should be able to figure this out. Like, I'm his mother. He's 3.5. I've been successful in the past. Why am I not successful now? So there's like this should factor. So then there's like, that's like a little self-blame.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the third zone, which is, oh my God, this is really not good. I am going to have to do something about this. I don't want to, because I'm kind of dreading what it's going to look like. Do it. How much time is it going to take me? How much effort's going to take me? How much money is it going to cost me? Who can help me or not help me? Is my, like, it's like that. Like, I always liken it to a diet. It's like, okay, you went on the vacation, you gained the 2 pounds, you ignored it. Then you were up 5 pounds and you're kind of like, all right, yeah, I better do something about that. And then all of a sudden you're at 7 pounds up and you're like, oh no, now I have to go on a diet. And you're just like pain, agony. And that's kind of like,
it's the stalling. Yeah. You're just, it's like stalling for time. It's the knowing what steps you need to take in order to better your life and his, but it's the stalling. You're just like a diet. I'll just start this tomorrow. I'll start it tomorrow. And then before you know it, tomorrow is 4 weeks down the road. And you're just like, I've wasted all that time. I've wasted all that 4 weeks when I could be way further. That he could be sleeping right now, but yet here I am. So yes.
Exactly. So I wanted to kind of go through that because I just want us all to know, like, this is not the only place in our lives as women where this bizarre thing happens, right? It happens with our weight. It happens with sleep training. It happens with home projects. It happens with dog training. I mean, this is motherhood for sure. We feel more like self-judgy in the motherhood zone, but this slippery slope in our mind that we do to ourselves happens like all over the place. So if we can just normalize it and say to ourselves, oh, I'm doing that thing again. I'm doing that thing where I'm under the impression that I can figure it out, and I'm actually not taking the steps to figure it out, or I'm actually confusing myself. And then 4 weeks later, I'm ending up in a more dreaded situation. So I just want to bring this to light so we can just all just kind of take a deep breath and just say to ourselves, like, yeah, this is the weird thing humans do. But it's okay, because if I can catch myself doing it, then like Krysti, she used to have the 4-week deadline, and now she's up to a 2.5-week deadline because she now understands what her brain does. And she's like, oh, I'm doing that again. I should be able to figure it out. And she's like, nope, I am not doing the shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm stopping it right now. I'm calling Joanna. I'm getting the help.
Yeah.
And she called me, we fixed it.
Hmm.
And she just cut that whole process down
Yes.
and
Yeah.
felt, and I
Hmm.
mean, and it was a relief to her. It's a relief to me because
Hmm.
her situation was so much easier to solve at 2.5 weeks than it was at 4 weeks.
Right. Yes. And I think too, especially since when I upped that time, I could even see the difference in my kiddo, right? Like that's what's so important about sleep is that I saw a difference. It's like where you're not sleeping the way that you should be. And the result of that is you're moody.
Mhm.
And and I know this isn't how you normally act. That's why I'm just like, why am I? It's not helping him. So
Right. To delay. It's not helping him to delay. Mhm.
yes, and that was the other increase as well. Is why delay when it's not just for me but for him. It's a two-way street. I feel like it's not just for me, it's for him as well. If I can help him feel better, then I'm going to take everything that I possibly can, every avenue that I can. But the
Right.
nice thing, I already knew where to go.
Right.
So like I don't need to delay that.
Right, exactly. Okay, so Krysti, thank you. This has been amazing. I just want to just emphasize, you guys, that I want to see more Kristys in the world. Like I am on a well-rested family revolution. That's what I want. I want for families not to struggle with sleep when there is help and hope available right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Christy's a great example of her own journey of saying, I need it now. I need it now. And now she's down to like a new deadline, 2.5 weeks. If something's not right, I'm calling Joanna. Right. And then we have a great time talking to each other. We have a great time solving the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then she can go on to her life and her child's in a better situation. She's in a better situation. Her household's in a better situation. And so I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story so that to give other moms the courage and just to understand like how powerful the help can be.
I mean, if I can say anything to all the moms out there, I cannot express how much just 1 hour of a conversation with you have lifted so much weight off of me. Because not only are you giving me guidance, it's the information as well, like point blank information. There's so again, you guys could Google everything and probably find answers out there, but the amount of Googling you'd have to do to find those answers is so overwhelming. But just to be able to talk to somebody and then not only guidance but the knowledge, like how much you've told me, you're like, oh my god, that makes sense as to why he's in this like situation right now, was just so much, was life changing.
Yeah.
So it's life changing is my end result of this whole thing, is the life changing that has helped me with sleep is overwhelming.
Right. Thank you, Krysti. Thank
Oh
you.
yeah.
I'm glad that I could be that knowledge base for you, that sleep support, that non-judgmental space
uh,
to be heard, to get the resolution and to get the encouragement so
mhm.
that you can just be, have a harmonious household that, and a well-rested life. So thank you so much.
Thank you.